All right, let's do this here. The chat will be paused until the lesson is done, and afterwards, I'll be more than glad to answer any questions you all might have. Uh, this Sabbath, I would like to say, as we always mention on the Sabbath, all praises be to the Most High, in the name of His Son, Yeshua, the Savior. I want to say shalom to the brothers and sisters worldwide. And today we're going to go into a lesson called Mystery of the Gentiles. And when I say Mystery of the Gentiles, we're going to bring some history books out to prove to you beyond any shadow of a doubt that the North American Indians and the tribes that were conquered by the Europeans, by Esau, are and is in fact the lost tribes of Israel. Now, in order to do so, we must first go into the prophecies, and we're gonna go into some books also, but we're gonna go into some prophecies. Why? Not too many, but there is some people who are now claiming that the lost tribes of Israel, or the 10 tribes that left Assyria, are black people only, or Negroids only. Now, after this lesson, we will make it crystal clear that not only is that false, we're going to also, in case some of you may run into some of these lessons out there that's claiming that only black people are from the lost tribes, that you'll be able to pose certain questions to them that come with these theories that they will never be able to answer. Like I said, we made a lesson not too long ago breaking out the lost tribes of Israel, which was the 12 lost tribes found, predominantly dealing with prophecy concerning the lost tribes, or the tribes that were in North, Central, and South America, that made it to North, Central, and South America. Now we all know that Israel will be scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. So now, while our brothers and sisters will be finding out who we are predominantly in the areas we've taught in the past, we will come with future lessons of the Israelites who are scattered in other areas, who are suffering or have suffered the same atrocities as the Negro. They may not look exactly like us, but they have suffered the same atrocities according to prophecy. We're going to use some historical books today also. And one book we're going to use, probably reference a little bit from, is The American Holocaust. Now, the information of the American Holocaust have everything to do with the suffering of Baliqua Taino Indians and others who were suffering by the hands of the Romans before we as a people got to or inhabited America through slave ships. Now, there's some other, I would say, misnomers, or I would say incorrect analysis concerning what happened in the Americas as far as prophecy. When you look at Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, most people out there teaching would like to emphasize strictly on slave ships. When the slave ships is one of many prophecies. All right. Not to say that the North American Indians and the Baliqua Taino Indians and those of North, Central, and South America, which we know are the lost sheep, not to say that they didn't suffer slave ships also. And I'm mentioning this because we know that when the conquistadors came over to South America, they took families by the hundreds on ships back to Spain. to work in the policies, to work under the queen, to operate and work as servitude for the people in Spain. But let's not put the cart before the horse. The majority of the information that you may read, that you may see today and read through scriptures today, a lot of the information that we have today have been punctuated through a lesson we did years ago called the 12 Lost Tribes Found. It cannot be disputed when you look at the history of the tribes of Israel that scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, predominantly the ones that came into North, Central, and South America, cannot be disputed on a on scriptural basis. Now, without any further ado, we're going to go into it. One other thing we're going to point out is the deceivers. The deceivers are the German philosophers and conquerors under the Masonic order who had a purpose intent to hide the truth of the lost tribes of Israel for not only political reasons, but for spiritual reasons also. Because the same people who are lying on the lost tribes of Israel, I'm talking about those of elite status, those that are lying on these lost tribes of Israel are predominantly those that are claiming to be Jews. What happens? Our people who finally find that we fit the mold of the lost tribes of Israel, we endear ourselves to that history and look to exclude the other lost tribes. You understand? And they cleave to some of the same faulty history that was put out there to distort and misdirect the truth concerning the lost tribes. So this Sabbath, we're going to go into the lost tribes of Israel. And before we're done, of course, we're going to touch on a few other mentions. But I would like to talk about this because there's a lot of misinformation that's being taught. And it's not, this misinformation is not really aimed at those who understand the book. The misinformation that's out there is predominantly aimed towards those who are new learners, those that recently came into the truth, to confuse you before you're rooted in understanding and studying things yourself. So they don't target those who already understand. All right? And some of the people that are putting out this misinformation are fairly new in the understanding themselves. And instead of being humble enough to go through the vocation and wait on their ministry, they go forward with anything they might see that's groundbreaking and just run with it without even thinking about the consequences, number one. Number two, they're not thinking that once it's shown to be false, they're not thinking like, okay, well, what am I going to do now with this faulty information? I should have been patient. But it's okay. We just here to set the record straight that the 12 lost tribes of Israel are not just black people. We're going to set the record straight. They're people of color. Right? So let's first begin with people in general. All people came from who? Noah, right? Matter of fact, go to 2nd Ezra 6 and 54 first. Let's start with Adam. Let's start with Adam. Now we're gonna break this down today on an elementary level, brothers and sisters. Today, on a very elementary level. This way, even the newest of persons would know that the 12 tribes of Israel are not just black people or people of color. Right? Let's go there. 2nd Ezra 6 and 54.
2nd Ezra chapter 6 verse 54.
Go ahead.
And after these, Adam also, whom thou madest Lord of all thy creatures, of him come we all.
We all come from Adam.
And the people also whom thou hast chosen.
And whom the people also whom the Most High have chosen.
All this I have spoken before thee, O Lord, because thou madest the world for our sakes.
Go ahead.
As for the other people,
which
also come of Adam, thou hast said they are nothing.
The Most High said that they are nothing but what?
But be like unto spittle.
And when he says they're nothing, it means they're not accounted for God's chosen people. That means when you look at prophecy and the prophecies concerning this earth, you must first pinpoint and identify God's people. The whole earth and all the actions of prophecy surrounds these particular people. Period. That means you cannot be looking at prophecies concerning other people to know exactly what time we're in. You must focus on the chosen people. So the Most High is telling us through prophecy, through the book, we don't need to focus on any other people to understand the prophecies. He only chose one people whom he would give his law, statutes, and commandments to. And all the other nations are really not in this equation. Now, because of this, the other nations, because they're not of the chosen stock that receive the law, statutes, and commandments, they have what you would call alternative pagan or Canaanite religions. They worship fallen angels. They worship demons, devils, other gods. But our God, the God of the Hebrews, is separated from them. Right? That's why he says they are nothing. But going back to the original point, that all nations come of Adam. Now we know that there was a flood. When you read Genesis, the 6th chapter, Noah is warned to build an ark. Right? Now when Noah was commanded to build the ark, it was him, his wife, his 3 sons, Ham, Shem, and Japheth, and they had 3 sons. Now when you go into Genesis, the 1st chapter, Adam, whom all people came from, was made from the dust of the ground. Ground is different shades of brown. He was made from dirt. Okay? That means all people would come out with some level of hue or some level of some color with them. Right? So when Noah was on the scene, let's read it.
This is Genesis chapter 9, verse 18 through 19.
Go ahead.
And the sons of Noah that went forth of the ark were Shem and Ham and Japheth. And Ham is the father of Canaan. These are the 3 sons of Noah, and of them was the whole earth overspread. And
with these 3 sons of Noah, the whole earth was what?
Was overspread.
Was overspread, which means the son that came out of Adam that would continue to reprocreate the earth after the flood is Noah. Noah, who came from one that was made out of the ground. So yes, Noah was a man of color. He was a black man who bare 3 separate children: Ham, Shem, and Japheth. Now Japheth is predominantly, well, they are the Asian people that was on one side of the Mediterranean that goes into Greece and to all the areas up into Asia. Shem, when he settled, the Most High gave him land on the other side of the Mediterranean, which was Saudi Arabia, the Middle East. Ham was given what? Yes, he was given North Africa. These 3 sons all came from one black man. Now, even though they may look different, they all came from one black man. So there is some truth when they say the original man